Like many of you guys, I want to draw inside of color. Working inside of black and white is a tremendous amount of fun, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to go in and transition away from these lovely gray strokes and start infusing just wonderful rainbow of color inside of all of my drawings. Well, in Blender, there's a couple ways that we get to do that. However, before we jump into how we infuse color, it's really important to understand how all of these strokes are created. Now, I'm going to go into the edit mode. I'm in my box selection tool, and I'm just going to left click and drag a small box to include both of these strokes. It's real faint, and I apologize, but both of these strokes have been selected. If I press the X key, I'll get this little menu, and I'm going to delete those strokes. Okay, and now I'm going to return to my draw mode once again, and this time I'm going to make the radius of my brush much bigger, turn off my pressure sensitivity, and increase the strength. Point being to give me a nice big thick black stroke in here. Now in Blender, whenever we're using the draw tool or any of our shape creation tools, what the computer is ultimately doing is going in and it's adding a whole series of dots along our stroke path. And then it's taking these dots and then it's connecting them with a straight line. Now, when you have a lot of dots close together, you're not going to see these faceted straight line edges. They're going to be imperceptible to the eye. However, if we have big areas, like if there's a dot there, and there's a dot over here, and over here, then you're going to see, a hard edge, okay? Let me show you specifically what this looks like. Bear with me just for 1 second while I go back in time. Okay, voila. Okay, here's how you can see all the dots that create this little line. I'm going to go into my edit mode, and notice that I'm going to go into my vertex selection set over here. And again, I'm using the box selection tool, and I can go in and I can just select a whole bunch of dots or even individual dots, okay, that make up this stroke. You can even grab the move tool and move that little dot and grab another one. Just move it out of the way, which is pretty cool. So this one stroke is actually a whole series of dots connected to each other. Now this is an important thing to realize because this is this stroke is an open shape. The end dot is not connected to the first dot. There is no sort of conclusion to the stroke. It just kind of stops over here. This is not a closed shape. In a lot of situations when we're just sketching or drawing, that's okay. But when it comes to filling in these lines, okay, if I make a circle down here, I want to be able to, maybe I want to fill in this circle with a color. Well, without it being a closed shape, well, there's some sort of connection between these two, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. More on that in a minute. But keep in mind that all of our strokes, regardless of any tool that we're using, are really a whole series of dots connected by a whole bunch of straight lines. Okay, let's talk about color and how this idea of dots and these vertices can be superimposed upon this concept. Let me show you. Just go back in time here in a minute. Okay, we'll leave the big black one in there. There we go. Lovely. And now we're going to add a second stroke in here. Now, in order for us to go in and change the color, we have to start manipulating with these two buttons up here. This one and its neighbor right there to the right, okay? This is the material selection button, and this is the vertex color selection button. We're going to talk about materials here in a minute, but we're going to start with the vertex color because it's going to take each individual dot and colorize those dots based off of whatever value is down in here. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to go into my vertex paint system. If you have your active tool properties open over here on the right, you can also toggle between them right here, vertex color. Now, just whatever color you choose, either in the palette down below or in this option right here, is what you'll draw with. Ta-da, lovely pink. You can grab, I don't know, like a yellow, for example, and we're on our way. Okay, so the vertex color system is our way of going in and adding a whole bunch of color. Now, if you look carefully, we also have the paint bucket tool down here. And this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. Because remember, this is a stroke with a whole bunch of dots on it. The paint bucket tool is going to want to look for a shape that's a closed shape that doesn't have any openings because it needs to know where to stop filling in this area of the screen itself. Let me go into the paint bucket tool and default values of green. And if we just simply left mouse click on it, well, nothing happened. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons why nothing happened. First and foremost, if you look very carefully, there's a gap in between these two strokes. So the computer doesn't know where to stop filling in this part of the image itself. So it's not going to do it. It's just going to fail over and over and over again. Well, let's do this. Let's go back into the edit mode. I'm going to grab all this stuff. I'm going to delete it. Let's go back into my stroke selection engine just to make it a little bit easier. Let's delete this stuff. Okay. Return to our draw mode. And this time, I'm going to grab this little box. Now I'm still painting with my vertex colors, which is why it's yellow, which is pretty cool. But maybe I want to go in and start making this with the return key, by the way. Maybe I want to fill this with green. Well, once again, nothing happened. Well, that's kind of confusing. What happened here? It's a closed shape. This is entirely closed. If I go back into my edit mode, I can even see that it's a closed shape. That's pretty cool, right? I can even grab portions of that closed shape and move it around if I wanted to. Why did it not fill in the center here? Well, let me show you. Let's return to our draw mode. And once again, we'll look at how it's choosing to shade all of this. Right now, the fill area tool is active. It's the paint bucket tool. And this right here is going to determine what it's filling. Well, right now we're only filling in the stroke, which is just a fancy word for outline. If you look down here, we also have an option that says solid fill. It's going to choose a color. But since we're in the vertex color, it's going to override this color with the green. Now if we left click, poof, it's green. Let's do it again. Let's change the color. Go to red. Left click again, and now it goes red. Oof, that's a intense choice there. If we wanted to maybe not do red, let's put it a lovely shade of green perhaps. That's a little bit better. Okay, so use this paint bucket tool on shapes that are closed. If we were to take this idea and return it to, oops, I'm still in the solid fill. If I go back to solid stroke, now I get this, right? Couple options here. Solid fill will allow you to go in and make a closed shape just from the get-go, which is pretty neat. Let's return to solid stroke. We're still painting with this vertex color, but check it out. If I do this and close the shape, now let's see if it will fill it in. Oops, I'm in solid stroke. I'm sorry, excuse me, forgot to change it back to solid fill. And it works. So if you want to fill in an area like I have down here, you just got to make sure that the lines cross. It has to create what's called a boundary in order for the computer to understand which area inside of our frame that it's going to fill in. And that's how you paint with color. The Vertex color engine inside of Blender is pretty fantastic. It's not the only one. And we also have the material selection, which is another video that's a little bit longer, and it's going to require some more energy to talk with. And we'll talk more about that as we go through the semester. But these are our ways of making color inside of all of our drawings.